Good evening, everyone. I'm Sandy of Lolly and Sand, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Ontario, Canada. Southern Ontario, to be a little more specific. Tonight, well, actually, let's talk about the week. It's only Tuesday, and what a lovely week. I'm serious. The sun was shining so beautifully today, and I went out and spent a little over 2 hours in one thrift store. It can be done. I was specifically looking for things I can use with mixed media because I'm getting into that again. So I was in every section of that store because you never know where you're going to find something. But it's a really awesome thrift store, and I never know if it's Welland or Thorold. It's on Highway 20. Highway 20 coming from the Fonthill direction on the right-hand side by the fire station. Renew, Gift, and Thrift or something like that. Anyway, I had so much fun. Came home with a huge, those huge IKEA bags? It was full. It was. Anyway, so if you're like me and ordered from the online exclusive, you might be waiting for your product still. Distribution center is running a little bit behind, so I don't have my goodies yet, but I think I got notification just before. I went into my email, and just before I went live, I went, oh, there's a notification from today. I wonder if that's my order. I don't know, but I hope so. So in the meantime, we have to do something. So we're going to do some watercoloring. I wanted to try something different, and I really, really miss it. I did a little bit of mixed media this afternoon, like when I got home with all my goodies, and I was so excited. So this is just perfect timing, and I've got a really pretty card planned for tonight. Now, let me see what my notes say. Oh, here's the set we're using. I know this is going to be backwards for you. I should just do it like this so you can't see the words. This is hand-penned Petals, and it's from the annual catalog. Yes, I went back to the annual catalog. I just thought it's so pretty, and I knew it was going to watercolor beautifully, so that's what we're using. It's true, that's what we're using. All right, I see some people joining us, so let me, I see Elsie. Hi again, Elsie. I just saw Elsie at my weekly updates for the team, and Bea. I think I saw Marjorie. Oh, you know what? I'll flip you over first, and then I'll look. How's that? All right. Once again, I almost hit the finish button. What? Mind my hand. It's kind of, sorry about that. And get that nice and tight. Flip the camera around. You should be seeing my desk now, and I'm going to move you closer. That was noisy. Cool. My inks are right here. I was going to leave them in front, but so let's see if I can bring. Well, I know you can hear me. Otherwise, somebody would have said, "Hey, we can't hear you." So that's cool. Let's go. Oh, you know what you have to do when you're doing this is you have to refresh your screen. Anyway, isn't it beautiful? And I a few things. It's got such delicate detail, and I think that's because it's photopolymer, which means it's the clear. Alrighty, and really pretty. I know that it has really pretty fonts, but I'm making this card for someone in particular, so I use something else. Sorry. Oh, yep, there's Marjorie. And the rest of the comments, if they're past, I can't see them. All right. Now, this is really a two-step stamping stamp set. So this you would stamp on top of here, and then this in here, this in here, this on here. But we're doing something different because that's the way I rock and roll. Oh, you know what? I have to turn my light on. I had it off because it's so bright when I'm doing our weekly updates. There we go. That should be a little better, except it's right in the way of the words. So here we go. All right. So when you're watercoloring, and I absolutely have to insist on this, purchase the Stampin' Up! Watercolor paper. It works perfectly with our inks. El Cheapo here. I for the mixed media, I have lots of other papers, and I thought, I'm just going to use those. They don't work. They don't work. I just didn't get the same results. So anyway, I thought I would speed things up a little bit tonight. Oh, it's called Fluid 100, by the way. Fluid 100 watercolor paper. All right, so I thought I would speed things up by, this is the paper here, by the way. And you can see it's not, do I have anything white handy? I do. There we go. So it's not as white as our white, basic white. And anyway, I stamped the image. Now, I used my Stamparatus because I was actually stamping two at the same time. There's the two large floral items. I just noticed I have blueberry stains under my fingernails. Okay, don't look. Anyway, so I used the Stamparatus because the first time I inked it up, and especially with watercolor paper, I don't want to waste it. For sure, I don't want any oopsies. And I looked at the Versamark that was on it, and I'm like, I can't really see that, so I'm going to get, I have like 3 Versamark pads, don't ask why. And anyway, so I used the next one, and I could see it, so I was really glad that I was using the Stamparatus. So I have heat embossed that in black. There's a couple of reasons why I like to heat emboss when I'm using our re-inkers, when I'm doing watercoloring. And that is because it holds the color inside. If you can color in the lines, your color will stay in the lines. And I thought that was kind of a big plus for me, to stay in the lines. Now, these are the original, believe it or not, these are the original watercolor painters from Stampin' Up. They're not broken, so my theory is if it's not broken, you know, why change them? But I do have other colors of ink on here because I made different colors. I did. So anyway, here's the colors we're using tonight. These two here. So I have Pacific Point and Pear Pizzazz. And when you do this, number one, put something under your paper, maybe to protect your work surface. And see, this is the frame from this. This is where I do my little testing. So if I test it on basic white, it's not going to look the same. So I also have blocks. So we're starting with these two colors. These other two colors will come into play a little bit later. So we'll talk about this later. 2 blocks at a time. Don't confuse my little brain. All right, let's see. I hope we're nice and even. A little bit low maybe. Not sure. Okay, so whilst doing this, I'm going to do this. Okay, so this is the Pear Pizzazz, and that's how much I'm using. So you don't have to think watercoloring is going to use up a ton of ink. It is not going to at all. I have paper towel here that will take care of anytime I'm changing color or I have too much water, then the paper towel will take care of that. I also have, it's on my lap, okay, that was the Pacific Point. I also have a cloth, and you'll find out how I'm using that. Right, so the first thing you do when you have your water painters, because maybe you're like me and you didn't clean them all the way, is you want to test them. Now, I filled the ballast here with water, as you can see, and it still has lots in it. Just get it running. See, so that one had green. It looks like a blue tip, but that one had green in it. So this one, now I was playing with the third color, so let's see what we have. Nope, that looks like it's all gone. Groovy. Alrighty, so the way I do it is, again, I put the ink on the block. And then over on the other side of the block, I put the water. I don't mix them right away because I'm the one deciding how much water I want in it. So I always take just a little bit. And of course, I thought this was the green because I got myself mixed up. Now, as you can see, that's going to go on really dark. I don't want to start really dark. So I'm going to put some more water in. Look at that. We already have 2 different tones of blue. And the more water you use, it's funny. When I did my my sample card, I had the largest block I have, and this time I chose a small one. So anyway, so here goes nothing. Remember, with this, there's always a little bit of trial and error. If you make a mistake, it's watercoloring. You can put more water on it and kind of fix that little oopsie. Okay, do I want this? Let's find out. Yep, we'll go with that. Do you see how very light it is? I don't have a specific pattern. I know I don't want to go right to the edges, and I have a little more water than I like. I was also going to say, by the way, some people spray theirs first. I didn't want the paper that wet. I want it wet, but not that wet. cool thing about this is you can keep going in and adding more color. But in the meantime, I'm going to let that dry ever so slightly. And don't you worry, we are going to pop up these colors a whole bunch. So my theory is start light, work your way up. If you decide that you don't want to heat emboss, say you're not a heat embosser, that's fine. What you want to use then is, oh rats, what's it called? StazOn. Use StazOn. Do not use Memento ink, because I did by mistake, and as soon as the water hit it, it leaked all over the place. It didn't work. I don't want to have the black leaking, because that's not a pretty look. I am doing all the flowers the same color, just to keep it simple. And to make this not be an hour-long video again, I'm going to do my best to slow that down. Okay, so you can see I've gone in a little bit darker. And here's what my cloth is for. I have this thing where if I see a puddle of water and I don't want it, it's the same thing I do with mixed media. I just pick it up. Now, don't dab twice with the same spot. So this rag was actually, by the looks of it, a man's shirt. If you're ever looking for a bag of rags, they're not open right now because they're renovating, but the Mennonite Central Committee, it's called Elmira Thrift and Gift in Elmira, sells bags of rags, and man, do they come in handy for everything. I just noticed the sample card I used is a different, the other image, the other stamp. Okay, we're going to bring in more. Now, oh my gosh, you're saying, what on earth is Sandy doing? Don't you worry, because we're going to do this. You can pull that away. Yes, I used a little more water, too. I can hear my grandson. I don't know if you can hear him in the background. He's upstairs. See how that lightened it up? In case you make a mistake, because it happens to all of us. That's his little pitter-patter up there. There we go. I don't really want all the colors to be the same, so if I choose, I may leave one a whole lot lighter than the other. So the thing I think I do differently, a whole lot different than other people doing watercoloring, is I use a rag to dry up the color. Like I said, it's not difficult. And like I said, I don't want to go right out to the edges. I want to leave some white, which I will do. You can see how the paper towel comes in handy. I'm going to go a little bit darker. So here's my question for you. 1, do you watercolor? Have you used our inks for watercoloring? And if that's a yes, have you used the Fluid 100 paper? Because it is lovely. Look, it hasn't even soaked through. Isn't that cool? It has not soaked through. So, you know what? When I'm looking at this, I actually feel like I'm seeing a little bit of purple coming out of it, which is awesome. That's the beauty of the inks, is they're like any color. They're not just one color. They're a whole bunch of colors. Little more water. Little more water. I'm going to bring it just a little closer to the edge. A little. I could play with this for so long. Seriously. Just like dabble, let it dry, and you can always go back in. So here we go again. It's like I put the color on, I take it off. I put the color on, I take it off. Okay, let's go for some green. And like I said, you can always add some. Aha, there's the white ink I was using earlier. Let's get rid of that. Yes, I was using white ink, which we will use in a bit. Let's get rid of that. We do not need that. I also, by the way, I didn't finish making the card, but I also have a card, oh no, I'm sorry, a sample, basically, not finished, of one of these images, but I used Stampin' Blends Now, I love Stampin' Blends, but if you want intense color, I can't get it out of blends, but I can get it this way using watercoloring. Like I said, don't be afraid of watercoloring. And the embossing, unless I go out of the lines, and yeah, it's happened. That'll be an I meant to do that moment. I meant to do that. I did. I meant to do that. It won't go out of the lines. Well, there's holes here, as you can see right here, where it's not a solid image. So yeah, you have to kind of watch those spots. All right, let's lighten that one up because it's really dark. Oh, that one still has lots of water. Good. And actually, I did not mean to pick up any more ink because I want to tone that down a bit. So you saw how dark that was, how like ridiculously dark that was. Just that little bit fixed it. All right, bringing the cloth in again. Dry the bottom ones. Dry the top ones. Instantly lightens them, which means you know where you're at and you can go in again. So you decide where. I have never studied, light and dark, and I've not had any formal training. You just know what looks nice to your eye. Now I really watered that down like way too much. So like 2 drops. 2 drops, that's all you need. Alrighty, so let's see. Elsie, I just thought I should look back at the comments. You've done watercoloring with our inks, but haven't used the paper. I just find it so forgiving. So forgiving. Oh, more dog barking. Yay. That must mean my daughter's home. You know how dogs can hear so well? They can hear the garage door opening. That's Pippin making all that noise. He's really cute, but he barks a lot. Oh, hey, Julie. Welcome. All right. So with me, and you know what? I'm not one of these people that has to I'm not real specific with my painting, as you can see. And I don't really think you have to be. During the day, or like yesterday was, yesterday? Yeah, yesterday was garbage pickup. You can expect a lot of barking every time a car comes by. Oh, there's Julie. Hello. We're doing some watercoloring tonight with our inks. And I just thought I would give it a try. So this is it's a little too even here. See how it looks very, yeah, see how it looks very rounded? I'm just going to see if I can pull that color out just a little bit. Oh, you know what I forgot to mention? And thank you for not saying, oh my gosh, who's that person? Because you've been seeing me for a few weeks. And I forgot to mention that I took that big brave step and got my hair cut last week. Like really short. It's the way it used to be pre-COVID, and I like it. I like it short. I feel way spunkier. Way spunkier. That's probably going to be too dark. I think with the water painters in the new catalog, I believe you get 3. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. I thought I'd bought them, but I for sure have never found them. All right. So that's going to do for now. I'm going to leave it at that because you know what? I was finished one and I went back. The whole card was finished and I went back and put a little more ink on it. Strange but true. It is true. All right. Now, I'll be a good girl and I will clean these. I will be a good girl. I don't always. They're very easy to clean. I found lid number 1. Hey, you remember from last week when I couldn't find that small embossing plate? I have still not found it. I have no idea where it might be. No idea. Let's set that aside and check our hands. Nope, we're good. Okay, and bring in the card pieces. So I tried a whole... Oh, we're not done. Sandy, what you doing? We are so not done. Pool party. I don't know why I'm shaking this. Oh, Julie loves my haircut. Yay. It's the old me. The old me we all remember. There's the lid. Yep. All right, so that's pool party. And I put way too much ink on there, so we'll get that over to the side. And I do need to bring that little scraplet back in because that is way too dark. I know you're like, what could you possibly be painting now? We're going to go lighter. There we go. We're getting it. All right. So this is pretty. It's pretty, but we're not done because I'm going to paint around the outside. Now, here's the thing I noticed when I did, I'll show you the other samples that I did in really pretty colors, is that a couple times I went this way. Nope. If you're doing it, try to stick in the same direction. Good news is I can lighten that, and I will. That too. Good gracious. Way too dark. There we go. Water. Let's bring in another block just for that. All right. And I still have more paper towel. Oh, there we go again. Okay. I may not be able to lighten that, so we'll just live with it. Oh yeah, my daughter's home. I can hear the pitter-patter. Now, the one thing when you're doing this, so I'm making a frame around it, don't go to the edges, okay? This is just what I found that I thought looked really pretty, is to not do that. And do not touch these other colors, because they will run like there's no tomorrow. Okay, let's grab that again. Find another spot on that rag. There we go. That lightened it up beautifully. And a little tiny bit more up here. So this reminds me, when I was painting, doing the originals, this reminded me of my grandmother, like a kind of card that you would see an elderly, quite elderly person receiving, where it's got, just going to do a tiny bit more, make sure I have the right color. I do, pool party. I just need a little bit more. More sandy, more. Okay, just a little bit more. It's kind of like an old-fashioned look on the card. More water. It's amazing how much water you think you're using, and then you haven't really used that much. Woo, I thought I touched it, but I didn't. Okay, let's call it. That one's as done as it's going to be. So we'll try that. And I do like to put the lids on because there's water in them. I've never had one leak, but, you know, let's try these guys too. But it won't, pardon my arm, it won't go too far because we're going to use it again. And we're going to use more color. All right, now we can bring in the pieces of the card. All right. So here's the card base, okay? And again, what I had started to say was I tried numerous different colors of the base with the layer, and you know what? This worked the best. So this is half a sheet of paper, so it's 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2, and that one is almost, there it is. I was going to say, I know I have it handy. And just use the bone folder to get a really nice crease. Really nice. So, and I did a little bit of the work ahead of time because I did not want to keep you for hours. So, pool party. And it started off as 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And I took the bone folder and just kind of hacked up the edges. So I wanted the card to look kind of old-fashioned. The other thing you do if you're not really happy is you can go in with your fingernail and like just scrape away. One of my samples, I actually ripped it by mistake, but I ripped it. And you know what? We'll just call that a happy accident. We will. Okay, so by working the paper, and paper's not one layer, you can actually pull it apart carefully if you've roughed it up enough and get kind of a tattered looking corner. So I am going to adhere that, hopefully with the, with the tombow that is full. When you're doing this and you've tattered up the edges and you don't want to make a mess of your card, don't go right to the edge. I know normally I make that really nice line really close. Don't do that in this case. Give this one a try. Okay, so it goes this way. It's going to open that way. And we'll get that on. And I still have wiggle time even with that amount. So over we go and down. So see what I mean by tattered? And what I was thinking after the fact is I could have actually made this piece the full size, the full 5 or 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, but I like the white showing. Like the way it turned out. Okay, and then what I did is I put it on top. This piece, I put this on top and went, that's too plain for me. So I took another piece of basic white. I ripped it. Now, when I rip paper, I'll just show you with this. Some people say you rip up, some people say you rip down. I did both because I wanted it to have light areas, top and bottom. So this started out, did I write this down? Nope. Well, that's okay. Before I ripped it, let's put it that way. Before, inches please, it looks like it was about 3 1/2 by 4 3/4, roughly, give or take. It all depends on how much you want showing. So that was going to go on an angle, and I only want to see a little bit, so it's kind of like, oh, again, reminds me of my grandmother, you know, having gone through the Depression, as did my parents, not me, my grandmother. You didn't waste things. So if this was a scrap of paper that I thought, oh man, what did I do? I would still use it. I would kind of go like that. This isn't quite dry enough yet, so we'll keep going with this. And I know I don't usually do this, but since I'm not going to the edge, I can do this. Which means put more glue on than usual. Let's just see where we are before we set her right down. I think the messier you can do it, like try not to get these little scraplets. That's like little fingernail marks. Go for like a really good amount of tear. All right, I'm going to use my heat tool just to dry this a little bit. So I want to make sure when we do the next thing that it's really, really dry. So I apologize for the noise. This is your musical interlude. Feel free to sing. So I don't want to do that for too long because I don't want to mess up the heat embossing. Heat embossing can only take so much. Okay, now we're going for the big one. So when I used to run classes, I bought grid paper and I had it laminated for messy things like what we're doing now. And I'll tell you how messy this was today. I was about to go out to the thrift store. And I looked in the mirror and I went, what's that white stuff on my glasses? Well, it was splatter. So this is the Whisper White ink that you use to, for your, they still have it. The Whisper White stamp pad, I'm not even sure. Ink pad. Okay. There we go. I need my paper towel. Here we go. Oh, see, I've got blue in there. So did I run out of water? Yep. Next. Apparently I guess I kind of did go pretty hard with the blue. All right, let's do this. A little bit of green. We don't want that. We want clear. So this is how you clean the brush, by the way. If you want to, you can, of course, go to the tap, but that's not a possibility right now whilst I'm crafting. Okay, so put some water in it, take a little bit of that, put it in the water. Water. And then, hopefully, okay, here goes nothing. It will splatter down. I want my board folder. It always keeps my fingers out of the goop. You know, it's mostly what I'm aiming for, trying to get, are the, come on, it worked before, it'll work again. And without having a big blob, I want the flowers. Oh, good gracious, thinner, okay. And whenever I do this, I like to turn my paper because more water, because I'll splatter go in one spot. Oh, there we go. Well, that's a blob. I will be, oh, maybe not. All right, I'm not getting the splatter that I'm wanting, so we're going to try something a little bit different. Eek. Oh, well, that lid has green ink in it, so thankfully I saw that. Okay, this one hopefully is okay. We'll do it this way. I'm going to practice. Okay. Oh, you know what's going on? It is just straight water. Okay, now that I'm going to flick it this way, I'm going to do it full strength. Wow. Heavens to Murgatroyd. Not working the way I would like. Make sure that's dry. I did use, I started the original. When I started the original, I'm going to dab that because it's pretty wet. I did Winkostella, and the Winkostella didn't turn out that great on it, you know? So that's why I thought I'll go plain. Oh, there we go. Okay, now not too much. Don't overdo it, Sandy. And one of them I actually did a black ink spatter using one of my Stampin' Right markers, which I'm not sure if it's, I think it's black, not gray. Okay, let's get that cleaned. And get that out of the way, and get that out of the way. And yes, bring the heat tool in again. The splatter kind of softens it a bit. Not that there's anything hard about this card. Nothing. So now you know how I watercolor and how I put it, almost how I put it together. We're not done yet. But treat watercolor like it's your friend. There's nothing scary about it. Absolutely nothing scary about it. It's just, you do it. Less is more. Less is more. You can always add it. Taking it off, you know, still not my favorite thing to do. Well, now I can see I did get splatter on there. That was the silicone pad that we have. And if you do think that you might want to browse my online store, I will put the link in the description. There we go. Alrighty, just checking to see that I got all those off. Bring the card back in. And I believe it goes this way. Originally I thought it went that way, but on the package it shows it this way. Now before I put that down solid, I just want to make sure. Looks even to my eyes. Groovy. Now, this, love, I took this from the Fragrant Flowers stamp set, which I thought was perfect for this. And we always have this issue, as you know, of adhesives showing behind. the vellum. So I heat embossed that in black onto vellum. Oh, and then I die cut it using one of the, what did I call it? Let me look it up. All That, which is part of the He's the Man stamp set or bundle. And I'm going to have that hang over the edge just a little bit. And that's a little crooked, but you know what? Love doesn't care. Love doesn't care if it's a little crooked. All right, and then I made the bow ahead of time because, again, I still have samples to show you. All right, so get one of these, get my take a pick tool, and down to this one. So let's roll that up as best possible. It's a really tiny bow. I used our twine. Comes with, I think, 4 or 5 twines. You can tell I have a really lousy memory sometimes. I can remember things that happened as a kid, but details, I'd have to write everything down, and I'd write a book if I was to say everything or have everything. Okay, I'm just going to squish that up just a little bit and make it smaller. And you know me, I like small bows with long tails. So I had only just done this. Let's get that on there. Hopefully everything's dry enough to stay put. Oop, and I can see it, so I'm going to squish that under. We never want to see our adhesives, you know. All right, play with the bow a bit, which means I find this twist really easily, but I love it for how delicate it is on a card. Thus, I put up with it. Okay. Now, my favorite scissors, as you know, because lefties can use them too. That looks like they need another cleaning. I was rather busy with them. I may trim those a little bit more, but I like the way they kind of, one second, here's how I do it. How they flow and trickle down. Let's see what it looks like. I've watched Matosu Crafts, and you see Jay actually twirling it. I have never had success with that. See what happens? It just makes a mess. All right, embellishment. Get to it, Sandy. Alrighty. Okay, so now I just want to show you that a little bit closer. Let's see. I think using the white ink is kind of hit or miss for me. Sometimes it works. Sometimes meh, not quite so much. So, let's go that way. Me and my random choosing of where I'm getting them from. I'll try and neaten it up a bit. These are my favorite, as you know. I know my job is to sell products, but I'm going to tell you that if they ever got rid of these, I would be really sad, because I just think they're like the best. I can use them on almost every card. Now, as you notice, this was put down with Stamp and Seal. I'm just going to put that little guy right there. That's just going to help adhere that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't think I'm going to go 7, am I? Oh, I did go 7 on my previous card, but 1 fell off. No, 1's hiding. All right, let's go for it. If you're making pretty, go for it. Making pretty things. Not really sure where I want to put it. How about over there, but on an angle. And 1 more. It's hard to stop. I know, I'm addicted to these. This is why I had at one point 11 packages. Kid you not, 11 packages. What kind of weirdo does that? I mean, for herself. All right. Okay, my friends. Here is the card. And it's not too late to do Wink of Stella. If I was to do that, I would take a little paper and cover this, just to have it not get the Wink of Stella on there. I wanted to show you, like I said, I had practiced. You can see there, you can tell it's practice. This is with Stampin' Blends. This is, what's the new blue called? Rats. Tahitian Tide. and I could not get the same like I want that center dark. I want to look like the flower is 3D. So like so, instead of flat. So that's that one. This is the other image. I have to say, the way this, now, I don't know if you can see that now, how in my eye, that is purple that's in there. So somehow inside that ink, there's purple. The little white dots, that is the splatter. So these two are, they're almost like a set, obviously, but wait, but wait. I had to do a different color. And this is the one where I splattered the black marker from Stampin' Up, and I used different embellishments. I used adhesive back milky dots. You can tell which colors are my favorite. Then I believe those are in the mini. This is in the annual catalog. So each of them, like to me, they look so retro. They look like, again, something like what my grandmother would have had. This one here I did in silver, still on vellum, heat embossed, I should say. And this is from the stamp set, You Are a True Friend. So, okay, what do you think? Oh, there's some gorgeous card. Love the card. Thank you. Thank you. Very nice. Thank you. Oh, that makes me feel good, because I have to tell you, the card that I had started looked absolutely nothing like this. Like, see, here's some of the, I had started a completely different card in kind of mottled colors, and I wasn't feeling it. I was not feeling it. And if you're not, let it go. Oh, Bea, thank you. Bea says, love them all. Okay, I'm going to let you go now. And thank you so much for watching. If you're not following me on Instagram, please do so. I'm so close to 500. I keep getting rid of all the creepo bots, B-O-T-S, bots. You know, anything that's creepy I get rid of. So I'd have like a couple hundred more, but I will not let creepy things stay on my Instagram. I just won't. Anyway, thank you so much. Oh, thank you, Julie. They are all beautiful. Thank you so much. I will see you next Tuesday again at 7 p.m. And next week is going to be a fun fold. Yeah. Alrighty. Yep. Have a great week yourself as well. Thank you, Bea. And bye-bye.